Hello and welcome. My name is Celeste. I'm a creative writing and empowerment coach at the Arachne Project LLC. I coach the whole writer, meaning I not only teach writing and do developmental editing services, I'm also a life coach and I enjoy helping writers align their lives with their creativity. If you've seen my channel pop up before in your feed, you may know me as a tarot reader, and I do use tarot in my coaching practice along with other techniques to help writers tune into their inner guidance. I like to help writers take empowered action towards the kind of life that they want to live. Today, I want to talk to you about a subject that I'm really passionate about as a creative writing coach, and that subject is writer's block. One of the most interesting things about writer's block is that it's one of the main reasons why someone might want to hire a writing coach like me. They might be experiencing some kind of a block in their lifestyle, or when they sit down to the page, they might just freeze and be unable to create or write or take any forward action on something that really matters a whole lot to them. We generally call that writer's block. But what's interesting about it is how many people say it doesn't exist. Anybody who's experienced writer's block knows that it's a real thing and that it's terrifying, right? It's terrifying. So as someone who talks a lot about spiritual development, I want to confront this issue, and I want to confront it in a sensitive and kind way, because I don't think anybody means any harm. I think people who say that are actually trying to help, and I understand where it comes from. Esoterically speaking, it is true that there's no such thing as writer's block. When you look at it from a pure consciousness perspective, there's only resistance and flow in the moment. So there's no yesterday and no tomorrow. There's only right now. And in this moment, you're either resisting your creativity or you're flowing. So when you sit down to write, you're either in a state of resistance. Your mind might be going in other directions. You might be having emotions. There might even be conditions in your environment that are making it difficult for you to write. That's all resistance, all of it. Whether it's internal or external, and again, you can argue esoterically that it's all internal, I get that. But for most people, they're experiencing conditions are in their environment. And if you're not in resistance, you're in flow. Flow is a state of alignment. Flow is a state of empowered consciousness where you are able to basically just let the story, since we're writers, that's what I'm talking about, story. You can flow in other arts too. So if you're an actor, you can just open up and let that character and those lines just flow out of you. You let the story come through you that way. If you're a dancer, you let the dance flow. So like I said, there's either resistance or there's flow in the present moment. There's nothing else. There's no writer's block. It's not like a special thing that happens just to writers, just to mess you up. So I get that. However, from a grounded perspective, the average person experiencing a prolonged inability to write, somebody who identifies as a creative or makes a living, so when I talk about identify, maybe they call themselves a writer, or maybe they make their living from writing. For the person who is experiencing that, it's terrifying. It's absolutely disruptive. And the more we bog down in the fear, and the more the more we resist the fear, the more we engage in this conversation with ourselves about whether it's real or not, it becomes more and more resistant. Okay? It just like resistance creates more resistance. And that's how it kind of goes. So to tell a writer who's experiencing writer's block or some form of resistance, I don't want to get into arguing whether writer's block and resistance are the same thing, because I think they are, but I understand why some other people don't. If you tell them that it's all in their head without giving them any real guidance or coaching around what's actually stopping them up, it can leave them with a lot of feelings that something's wrong with them, or that, like the shame and the fear and the pride cycle just kind of get locked down even further, pushes them further down into the resistance rabbit hole, which is the opposite of what we want, right? When we're trying to encourage somebody, we're trying to draw them out of the resistance rabbit hole. We're trying to draw them into flow. But you can't really get into flow from there, is what I'm saying. So it's not to say that anyone's responsible for someone else's disempowered vibes. It never is your fault for how someone feels. It's just that you, while meaning well and being technically correct, you can become the source of another person's self-limiting story, something that they tell themselves, and that becomes yet another block. And I don't think that anybody who means well wants that. So, so what is writer's block? I already talked about how writer's block is resistance. And as an empowerment coach, I talk about writer's block in terms of disempowerment and empowerment. So resistance would be disempowerment. If you're in a state of resistance, you're not fully empowered in your consciousness. There's something blocking it. And like I said, usually there's a signpost, there's an emotion, and that emotion points to something that you believe. It's usually something that's stuck kind of in your subconscious. If you were able to truly identify it, you might be able to just let it go and move past it. And so that's what I do as an empowerment coach, is I try to take what's unconscious or subconscious and make it more conscious. Bring it to the forefront of your mind so that the next time you experience it, you're more able, if you're sufficiently empowered, you're more able to say, I see that. I get it. I'm afraid of XYZ, or this is a condition in my environment that I can control or that I can't. And if you can control it, then you work to fix that condition, or deal with the part of yourself that minds that condition, or you learn to realign your values sometimes. So like sometimes the distraction is kids, right? It's your family. You don't want to get rid of them. So the cure for that would really be to set boundaries, prioritize your writing, prioritize your family. Figure out when you can put your writing first, and then execute that, make it happen. And sometimes that means needing physical boundaries, and sometimes it just means having emotional, relational boundaries. Both can be the issue. So I'll talk a lot more about empowerment on this channel, since it is what I do. But if you are a person who's experiencing writer's block, or wondering what this is, or if you've been kind of perplexed by the idea that it doesn't exist when clearly it does because you're going through it, I want you to know that you're not alone. And these other people aren't crazy either. I think people who haven't experienced a writer's block in their life, if you're a writer and you haven't experienced a block, I think you're a very, very lucky person. And I think, well, maybe even beyond luck, maybe you're just super organized, and you just kind of got your stuff together. But being empowered is a lot of work for some people who have been taught disempowered, relational kind of things, and we've sort of engaged in, we've bought into a way of thinking in life. So that like exacerbates our disempowerment. It kind of reinforces it as opposed to helping us rise above it. So that's what I do as a writing coach. It's one of the things that people would want to talk to me about. And my ability to help you really does depend on your willingness to participate in the process, your willingness to do your own work. But if you are experiencing writer's block and you want to talk about it, I want to encourage you to go ahead and reach out to me through my website. You can schedule a discovery call with me, and I have packages that are for writing and life coaching, and I also have just life coaching packages. So I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to let it go there, and I'll talk a little bit more about writer's block in the future because it's a big thing for some of us. Okay? You guys have a great day. Bye.